Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. And as you can see on my map, I've included road networks in this display. So that is the one big difference you'll see in this map as opposed to some of the other Google Maps that I have displayed in the recent past in terms of covering this ongoing conflict. So we'll go ahead and jump right into what we're seeing and what we're hearing today within the last 24 hours. So the fighting continues. Very heavy fighting is continuing to take place in the northeast Amhara region, really running from Sekota all the way down towards Weldia to include Lalibela. It would appear at this moment the Tigrayan Defense Forces are very much focused on attempting to secure Sekota, and then Sekota, it looks like their intent is to then proceed and secure Lalibela. And I'll try to show you why the seizing control of Sekota and the areas around Sekota is so important for the continued offensive operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces south in the direction of Weldia. So this front absolutely comes into play, meaning the Sekota area of operations comes into play when you look at other operations such as those that are taking place near Weldia and Mursa. So obviously the main route of Tigrayan Defense Force advance towards Weldia and then ultimately other targets further south is this A2 highway. And right now, the TDF is consolidating its control around Kobo Robot, and continue to operate very close within the vicinity of Weldia, and this is this area. So the B loyalist formations still control Weldia, and we are still receiving reports that continued movements of Tigray Defense Forces in the direction of Weldia and areas around Weldia are continuing. But in order to really continue to press south, the Tigrayan Defense Forces are going to have to secure the town of Sekota, and more importantly, these roadways that lead from Sekota south and then ultimately end up in Lalibela. And then there's also a roadway just to the south of Sekota that leads into the actual Tigray region. So the risk, if the TDF does not secure this area, would be to find itself facing a possible a B loyalist army group pressing towards Korim and Alamata from the west, and that would inherently risk the TDF formations further to the south of being cut off, and that main A2 artery south would then be cut off by ENDF or B loyalist forces. So right now, it looks like the Tigrayan Defense Forces are very much focused on encircling and then seizing control of Sekota, and then also seizing control of the vital road junction just to the south of Sekota as well. That's this area here that I am circling. Now, this area that we're looking at on the map obviously is very mountainous, very hilly, and this is the sort of terrain that the Tigrayan Defense Forces excel at fighting in. Now, with that being said, at the same time, we do know that the B loyalist forces have pretty significantly dug in forces near Sekota, as they understand the strategic importance of these towns such as Sekota, and more importantly, the town of Lalibela is even more important. Just to the southwest of Lalibela, you have an airport. That airport is, and there it is, right there. That is the Lalibela Airport. Very small airport, not very large, but big enough to fly in supplies and additional troops if required by the B loyalist formations. So, and we have received numerous reports that, in fact, because of the current situation that has taken place, especially the recent defeats that took place near Kobo, in which we observed the 11th Division of the Abiy Loyalist Army destroyed, and additionally, some of the quote-unquote elite Republican Guard units that were attached to the 11th Division were also captured in the ongoing battles. So the ability to defend the northeastern area of operations near Kobo, and more importantly now Weldia, have been greatly reduced by those defeats, by the Tigrayan Defense Forces defeating those units near Kobo, especially the 11th Division and other units as well. So right now, it appears that the Abiy Loyalist Army is reinforcing Lalibela. They are flying in more troops directly into Lalibela. These also may be rapid reaction units of the federal police forces based in Addis Ababa, also known as Finfine. Those forces could be deployed as well as an immediate reaction unit to try and plug some of these setbacks that are occurring within the ongoing operation. Now, with that being said, if we move back further to the north towards Sekota, and that's here, we have received reports that the TDF, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, have severed the main north-south highway into Sekota, and there are reports that well over 1,000 Abiy loyalist forces are now being surrounded within the confines of this area near Sekota. So the Abiy loyalist formations could find themselves that are based and operating in these defensive redoubts near Sekota could find themselves very, very quickly encircled and then either overrun or capitulated to the Tigrayan Defense Forces. But we're watching this very, very closely and what's happening near Sekota. There were early indications that reconnaissance elements of the TDF had actually entered Sekota. We can't confirm that. We've just heard that. And then obviously there is very, very heavy fighting taking place outside of Sekota as well. And we have heard that some town and city leadership functionaries may be trying to get out of the town, as well as the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to advance on Sekota. In all likelihood, they would probably head south towards, well, that isn't even a possibility now if that main road has been cut off as we are hearing. They would have to head southwest along this route here if they're trying to get those personnel and forces out of Sekota. But again, a very, very important target right now for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Not so much Sekota, but securing this east-west highway that leads from basically the vital road junction south of Sekota towards Korem, based here in this area. Not based here, well, it is there in this area. But that appears to be the objectives right now by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to, one, secure Sekota, secure the vital road junction to the south of Sekota, and then head south and threaten Lalibela, which is being done as we speak. Now, we anticipate that if and when both Sekota and Lalibela are secure, we will probably see additional movements by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to the south towards what could be ultimately Wachale, Haik, Dese, Kombolcha, much like we saw during the first counter-invasion campaign by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, where indeed they did take control of Dese and Kombolcha. And I would anticipate we could see things move much more quickly if and when Sekota and Lalibela are secure, and then you would obviously see the TDF move down to sever the B-22 highway, and that would allow or prevent the reinforcements from deeper in the Amhara region, such as forces coming out of Gondar and Bahir Dar, to reinforce the forces near Weldia and other areas along the A2 highway, feeding those forces in through the B-22 highway. So again, first severing the and taking control of Lalibela Sekota would be the first objective. Securing a defensive perimeter near the B-22, preventing an advance along the B-22 towards the main A2 and obviously Weldia. Then you would see probably a pickup in operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces heading south, again, ultimately quite possibly towards Dese and Kambalcha. But they would have a couple of different options, and it's hard to say at this point if that is the goal of the TDF. We could be seeing a operation to seize limited amounts of terrain and then pivot towards the eventual retaking of Western Tigray, or using the seizing of this territory as a bargaining chip for the handover of Western Tigray. That also could be a strategy by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. But as we look at the continued operations that are taking place in Western Tigray, because that is also a very much an active front, we are hearing that there is some fairly heavy fighting taking place near Humara. And we continue to see those TDF units that were based, trained, and prepped in Sudan to have crossed the border into Western Tigray and are actively engaging the Abiy loyalist formations and elements of the Eritrean army in Western Tigray as we speak. And we think that movement of forces by the Eritrean army and Abiy loyalist formations near Shiraro, which we now understand have been rather unsuccessful, that in itself was an attempt to possibly divert forces from Western Tigray and other areas to focus on that area. But it looks like the TDF units that were based near Shiraro have handled themselves fairly well and have prevented any encroachment by Eritrean army personnel into areas of Tigray around Shiraro. But we're going to continue to watch this very, very closely. And if there's any more updates within the course of the day, we will absolutely bring it to you. Additionally, there continues to be drone strikes occurring inside of the Tigray region, not just drone strikes, but fixed air, tactical air strikes as well occurring. The last series of strikes have been near Shire. At least those are the reports that are coming in. And then additionally, we have not received any more reports of additional strikes on Mekelle at this time. But again, we're going to continue to monitor the situation and bring you more content as soon as we get it. And obviously, thanks for joining us today. And as always, have a good day.